unforgettable as I unearth the truth as I see it. 3 things to note. Number 1, I'm going to briefly explain to you the story of my last 4 years here in no particular order or uncertain terms. Number 2, the following detailed account is based upon entirely true events documented by interviews with performing arts majors of the senior class at Morehouse and Spelman College. It is to be regarded as such. Number 3, the members of my graduating class have had one of the most tumultuous journeys to complete their educational careers, and as such, you may not like what I'm about to say. Listen anyway, and I promise at the very least you'll gain an idea of what it takes to do what we do, to be who we are, to create what we make, and to exist in our reality. Reality is the experiences we choose to engage with, or what inevitably chooses us. So with my choice to change someone's world, I'm choosing to try and change ours. Like it or not, the students of the class of 2023, particularly those in the creative community in the AUC, have had to bear the brunt of the system where the cards are stacked against them. But remember, this isn't a tragic tale. This is a story of power and resilience, bravery and heart, perseverance and brilliance, and the boldest kind of art. I invite you to take a seat at the table as I unpack the miseducation of those adjacent to our station. Here stands one of the toughest soldiers to ever walk Brown Street and Spelman Lane and still win the war, and this is how I did it. I bring you seniors' greetings and tidings that may be good, but whatever you may learn today must still be understood. Here is the tale of a person who has done the best he could. Welcome all to my grandiose tale of what is, what was, and what should have.
The person I became. A subtle, timely transformation, to say the least. A man of 4 years that has bloomed into a man of a life in the ever-expansive future. A subtle man. See, there's something not so subtle to be said of subtle people, and that's that more times than not, subtlety is substitute for loud and abrasive truth. And that part's me. The times that I spent here in this microcosmic universe of love and laughter and light with my fellow classmates have been some of my best. My frustration lies with those that tried to make it the worst. See, none of us could have ever predicted what our world would consist of, or how our space would change, and how we would grow and evolve and transform, and the storms, woo, the storms. We never could have predicted the storms, or the rain, or the lightning, and thunder, and snow, and hail, and sunshine, and rainbows. We didn't know. I mean, how could we? That's the not-so-subtle sting of subtlety. Muted static on a TV screen, the smell of good food you haven't taken out of the oven just yet, lyrical language that loops in your brain but doesn't hit your heart until you sit down and think back to the start of things. No one listened to our glimmering warnings. They ignored our dimly lit foreboding. You tell them that the world is changing, and they insist that she's as flat as she's always been, but time I spent in this small little world with these small, not so subtle people were some of my best. They taught me that the point of existence is to just keep living, to go where it's dangerous, to do the very thing they said you shouldn't do, to try what you never thought you would, and to go and break every rule imaginable, because why not? See, if there's one thing I've learned during my time here about being an artist, it's that more times than not, people could give 2 shits about what you have to say. Art is about you and what you're feeling, experiencing, and expressing for others. It's about what inspires you, but here's the catch. The part they never seem to tell anybody is that more times than not, people can't be bothered to give a damn about your art because they can't be bothered to give a damn about you. Do you want to hear a cackle? 50% of being a student of the art consists of actually convincing people that the work you do is art at all. 20% consists of fighting for a space to make said art happen in, and 15% is fighting for resources that you need to execute. Did you miss the cackle? I'll say it again. Only 15% of being a student of the art actually consists of making art. And what makes it even funnier is that more times than not, these struggles could be avoided by the bare minimum amount of conversation and attention to detail. I mean, all it takes is the willingness to try. My journey has clearly been a bit of a whirlwind, but there are some key takeaways. Fighting the good fight is never the wrong thing to do. Mothering ain't easy, but it is always necessary. Worthiness is a lifestyle and not a state of being, but above all else, be the best person you can be, no matter how ugly people want or expect you to behave. I'm excited for what the future has in store. I'm sure we all are, but the promise of the future doesn't disregard the treachery of the now. Indulge me for a moment, if you will. I want to take you on a worthy journey into my mind, a place that not many know how to access because they've never really been shown the way. I mean, there are parameters there, but Rules often allow room for growth. So right now, stop. For the next 5 minutes, I rule the world. No further questions. Let's just let this be an exercise in who really gets it. Well, don't look like that. I only want control so that I can control the story for once. I understand where you are and your fears and frustrations. I mean, I too fear what happens when people speak for me, but I'm learning, I'm trying, I'm being, so there's nothing to fear when I have the mic. See, I'll only give you the real version of what has been, not the cookie-cutter version of what could have been. See, if everything in the world were according to me, I'd make you understand why the whole world has to be burnt away. That sounds a little dramatic, I'm sure, and you'll get that more later. But for now, while I'm busy ruling this small little corner of the world we're in, I'll show you what the rest of the world looks like, and we'll learn about it together. Everybody clap. Good. Now, frown for me. Everyone smile. No, like a real one, damn it. Thank you. Good. I'm in control just this once. Formality. This is no formality. Formal thoughts, formal words, formal feelings, an informal expression of informal information, but informed by the cadence of words of artists like me to denote the loss of formal language to communicate truth to you. I mean, God, I've had enough. More than enough of all things art, at least art with these conditions. I mean, I've grown tired. I have been here at the center of it all, and I must rhetorically ask, what exactly did it get me? I mean, I know, but as I pose the question to people, I wonder, can anyone else besides me tell me? See, I used to see a shining light and beacon of potential in the world that I lived and learned in, but here lately my sentiments have slowly faded and the glow and luster that was once present has consequently become a little bit duller than it was. See, if everything in the world were according to me, I'd still have to burn it all away because all I've ever tried to do is become smarter, more creative, a better artist, a bolder artist, more outspoken and less afraid, but not the kind of outspoken that still demands your attention, the kind that is commanding with whispers. See, if I could paint the world in all my colors, I would paint buck wild with gasoline and I would torch it just the same because all I've ever wanted to do is be complete. Completely in control, completely understood, completely satisfied, completely complete by standards of perfect, wholesome completeness. I mean, it'd be foolish of me to not acknowledge the positive impact that these 4 years have given me. I mean, everyone clap, I guess. And while there are some opportunities and experiences I wouldn't have got to have without this world's influence, it was the reason me and my peers were so reverent of the respect that was needed to give to what was done in the past. For that, amidst my dated regards, you have my thanks. That being said, it would be a gross understatement to say that I and many eyes like me have felt neglected, hurt, and unheard. I mean, in truth, a back seat has been taken in our development as artists. And while I was ultimately understanding of the fact that at the end of the day, you're human beings first, so am I, and what follows are my very real, very specific, very human feelings, I cannot possibly give a fuck any further than what I already have. I have been here since the beginning, directing, creating, devising, writing, performing, exploring, reaching, teaching. I mean, I've spent all of my time here loving on me and me's like me, no matter who or what didn't show up, and against insurmountable odds, I have presided, directed, and worked in ways I never thought I would have had to keep some semblance of spirit alive, with minimal help from any outside of those who sought the same light I did, but struggled under the same darkness. If the world could be whatever I wanted it to be, look however I wanted it to look, feel how I needed it to feel, I would still have no choice but to set it all ablaze. Because nobody ever taught me how to shape it for myself. They gave me instructions to build all of this with no map or guide. And they applauded my chaotic inferno because at least she existed. Theirs didn't. I cannot change the past or rewrite strands of time, and if I'm being honest, I don't really want to. At some point, I had to realize that I couldn't keep seeking the wisdom of those too foolish to know which pitcher to pour from and too shaky to know what cup to fill. I had to stop begging for teachers and start thinking like one, do what I've always had to do and become an actor, a writer, a director, an editor, a lesson, a light, a love, a hope, a person, a Miles Chandler. Because I've always been who I am along the way, and no matter what me and my classmates didn't have, at least we had each other. I'm not going to ask for forgiveness for what I've said here tonight. I've already given it to you. I just ask for more on behalf of me's to come. I beg for what I didn't have in the name of those who must have. I plead for what I've always wanted in the name of those who should want for not. Because I've been me the entire journey, which means I guess I would have been myself either way. No use crying over what cannot be altered. Instead, we have to alter what must become. I've learned a lot during my time in this small little world, and I hope the brief journey I've taken you on has let you learn something too. But in case you haven't, the biggest takeaway is that my greatest lessons came from them. So, thank you, Cornell. Thank you, Isaiah. Thank you, Demarion. Thank you, Jayla. Thank you, Sydney. Thank you, Samaya. Thank you, Keyshawn. Thank you, Zay. Thank you, Louie. Thank you, Leah. Thank you, Jalen. Thank you, Henry. Thank you, Justin. Thank you, Morgan. Thank you, Karina. Thank you, Malika. Thank you for being my teachers, for turning me into an educator, and for imparting upon me a very valuable lesson that we all must know. That no matter what or who doesn't show up for you, we will always have ourselves along the way.
Frank.